Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday's Live again. More figures. This week, similar to what we did last week with the two girls at Versailles. Hard light, strong sunny day, but I thought this time we'd have the figures facing forward and maybe try to introduce a little bit of facial feature there. And then, have some fun with this. I think probably what attracted me to this scene in Mineral Point was the fellow's orange shirt and the turquoise umbrella. Hello, Dwight. So some of the things that I want to look out for here before I start the drawing. What are the issues that might... Hello, Kathy. There are a few things that could come up odd. There's a fellow standing behind our main subject, the head here, and we don't have some shoes, but we don't have enough information to really show this person, so it would tend to look like a second head on top of there and remind me of a very bad Vincent Price movie. Hi, Laura. We have the orange shirt and then we have the orange traffic cone, and they could very easily confuse and read together on a two-dimensional surface. So I think we'll eliminate that and we'll just put some, space or a shadow in there. There's a lot of business going on up in here. We're going to simplify that. Hi, Michael. So let me pull this down to where I want to have it. So what I would like to do first when I start to draw it is just feel the gestures of the people who are walking. This is High Street in Mineral Point, and it does go uphill at a rather fairly steep angle. So we've complicated the perspective on things a little bit. But as you can see, again, that the head heights are more or less the same, even though they're going uphill. We've got some plein air royalty here. This tall fellow, that's Tom Books, Antoine Raymar, Mark Anderson. Way back here, you probably can't see it. I recognize her ponytail and her unique posture. That's Carolyn Larkin. But I'm looking for where am I going to, hi Carol, put my figure. I'm going to find tops and bottoms. Where the feet and where the head are. Widths, that's a little bit past the center. And what would that be? Almost like a quarter, huh? So he's going to fall in there. So I'm going to put the head. Judy, hello. The head it's lovely egg shape. I'm just going to start with that. You probably can't see this, but I am going to start drawing these things darker when we get more specific. There's a nice, easy curvature to the, but there's a flatter side to that egg shape. And that helps me find the chin, the ear, and then there's a these shoulders are not dead straight across like this. He is walking, so one foot is forward, so the shoulders will be at a little bit of an angle. I want to see where that shoulder line intersects the chin or the face. Is there more shoulder showing on the right side or the left side? That typically will help you say a figure in motion. I love the way the t-shirt, looks like he has two t-shirts, is a little over to the side. It's not perfectly under the head, which is a nice thing. So I'm going to come across here, and then that's where I know the top of Antoine is. Antoine's shoulder comes, oh, gee whiz. I'm really underdrawing this, aren't I? But that amazing Gilligan hat he has, I'd love to get that from him. It's a great hat. And he's just like a guitar pick shaped face coming down out of there. His shoulders are pitched a little bit this way. So looking for that gesture. Let's see, yeah. Top of this, I'll see the bottom of that sleeve and the bottom of this sleeve are not in the same place. Very important in a walking figure. Look for things like that. Arms. When they're coming out of a sleeve, one side of the sleeve is going to be tight and the other side of the sleeve might be a little long. Don't have it coming out of the middle like it was a PVC drain pipe or something. Look for those little things like that. So arm this way, I think I probably got the sleeve a bit long. Then the arm goes, and then this is, the hand here is holding the jacket. It's coming down about from where the nose would be, so the hand comes out there. It's basically a little triangle with a curved top. Jacket comes up here. There's like a necktie shape. With a big loopy bit coming over here, maybe a little bit more underneath that. Bit coming down here. Now the bottom of that shirt, always look to see if it's tilted one way or the other, if there's a curve to it. We have a tendency to want to draw our clothing the way it looks in the catalog when you order it or something. And again, I'm leaving my bad lines in until I get my good lines. And then I will erase. This sleeve line is too far down. There's a shadow across that hat, casts a shadow, then his nose. And a lot of his face is in shadow there. I'm going to find that umbrella. It's a wedge, and it forms like two kind of points. I guess there was two of them, maybe? I don't know. This is called the Gray Dog Deli. Excellent place to get coffee. Level, pitched, what do we got? Does the one point come out further than the other? Yes, it does. Signs. I think I'm going to float those things. I want to simplify this background a lot. I'm going to enlarge some of these signs. I'm going to have them hanging out of the top, not floating too much till they get further away. There's just all manner of verticals and horizontals. And then we've got, as you go up the street, a lot of trees back there. So we're essentially going to be framing all these figures with darks. And just like last week, I'm probably going to jump in there with the stronger, cleaner colors and just let them kind of bleed out a little bit as I go in with the other colors. It's best to approach, when you've got strong, clean colors, yellows, oranges, turquoises and stuff, it's best to get them in early, even if they're not in the light. We usually go light to dark with the watercolor, even if they're not like that. get them in, because you can find a situation to surround them with a dark. Now I'm going to put in Mark Anderson here. He's a little taller than Antoine. He's got a ball cap with a eye line on this person. It's nose. I'm looking back and forth across here. Tom, oh my goodness, Tom's got a Cuba hat, sort of. I typically do not put something like that heading off the page. But I was just looking at it and said, well, it seems to work. I think I might bring this back a little further. Yeah. Arm. Neck is where the top of that sleeve starts. There's some plants back here, happily, that on Tom's elbow. Always look for how much is coming out of the sleeve before the elbow starts, and then where the forearm goes. And okay, it's got a very straight posture. Going to end the business coming out of the deli there. There are some verticals. We're going to paint all that stuff in there. We're not going to, hi Eric. I'm going to try not to get lost in all what my friend Andrew calls infinutia. So that we just use these darks and lights to frame the figures that we're trying to create here. Antoine's, he's got an odd posture here. So, of course, you can see I'm going to be getting involved in a lot more drawing than maybe usual, but so in this instance, the sleeve comes out on here, but is tight against the inside. Like so. Now, the hem of the thing sort of look like those, what do you call them? Comfort fit jeans, or where are our knees? Shoe going that way, shoe going this way. If it looks like a jelly bean, draw a jelly bean. If it looks like a football, draw a football. Whatever the shape happens to remind you of, that'll help you. The more important thing, I think, is that shadow shape. That's what's really going to, I think, clue us into the motion there. So I will start firming up some of these lines so you can see them. As I get them where I feel like I am in the ballpark where they ought to be. So sometimes between the legs, I'll look for a little space, like here. Where does the top of that intersect all of this? These guys wear sandals. I just don't get that. To me, it does not seem like a wise thing to wear when you're out stomping around in the weeds. Or you're picking ticks out between my toes or something. Those Wisconsin guys. Oh, goodness. Now, see, I've got that all wrong. I've got them very close to one another. Hello, Jean. And they're very, very, the top of this shoe, the front of this shoe comes to where the top is on that. So I need to get that right. Otherwise, he won't look like he's stepping. He'll look like he's standing. And we're going to accomplish these facial features with just some simple light and shadow things. I mean, that's a good start before we actually get into like a full-blown face, similar to a portrait kind of situation. And I do intend to want to do that, even though I'm really no good at it. But I know people who are. So now his hand is coming, and I can't really see it, but it's going to come across here. I'm going to give him something to hold, like a piece of paper. And let's make one of those signs kind of this one I want to take all the way off the page. That one I want to make more oblong. There's some, who knows what up there. Okay, firming up our lines. And it's more important to me to get some gestures going here than it is to get the feeling of accuracy of this, that, or the other. I need it to feel like it's in motion because it's a person walking, and that's what I'm trying to convey here. And I want it to look not stiff. I want it to look like the guy. See, that arm needs to come out over here. So get the right line in, take the bad line out. That hand. Okay. Shannon, hello. Jane, hello. The jacket he's carrying makes an odd shape. Time of year they hold this event, the weather, it's one thing in the morning and then afternoon it's kind of hot. But it makes for some interesting pictures. Okay, now shadows, I'm going to try and paint shadows as opposed to I'm just going to silhouette a figure back here. Sorry, Carolyn. Something. Okay, now. All right, let's pull the trigger on this. Get some color in there. So Jane has an opening tomorrow night at the Main Street Art in Mount Pleasant. I think it's also called the Chesmation Crafter. It's on the east side of the square in Mount Pleasant. And she's got a lot of the work she's been doing over the last year or so, and it's really worth looking into. I believe it's 5:30 when that starts. Okay. Enough of drawing. All right. As I mentioned before, I think it's going to behoove me to get the strong colors in sort of fairly soon. So I'm going to get the turquoise of that umbrella. And by strong colors, I'm talking about ones that need to be, high chroma, very pure, not neutralized or anything like grayed down or anything. So, can get that. Let's even go a little bit more. Using a Oriental brush, it's about size 14. Painting the shadowed area under it as well, because that will get darker. I do need to miss the hat here. If you overshoot it a little bit, that's all right, because there's going to be some darks that a lot of the detail in this, hi Karen, we're going to be accomplishing with negative painting by bringing darks around the lights. I think I might go for the orange shirt. Now my orange is, I believe, either the cad orange or benzimidazolone, doesn't matter. They're about the same. I'm going to put a little red in it. It's going to look dark, but it's cad. It's definitely a fader. Cad red, cad orange, they have a tendency to fade off. And then by fade off, I don't mean they actually fade. They lighten as they dry significantly compared to the mass tone of the color when you put it in. Now, coming right off of it, I'm going to maybe get some burnt umber in that. I'm going to dirty it up because you can see that's how those colors dirty up. I'm going to do his flesh, which again, that is going to look maybe ethnic and not Caucasian. I'm going to try to get that, and if it bleeds into the shirt a little bit, I'm not too fussed. That too is going to lighten up the hand, the arm. In other words, dry a little bit lighter. Face here, let's put a little reddishness in it. It's sort of a boat neck t-shirt there. Back of Mark's neck. Well, I'm just going to get the hair and everything because that'll go in later. Arms. Arms. Let's put a little more red. That cad red by itself is a good, in some water, is a good flesh color. And even though this looks dark, I am willing to bet I'm probably going to be going back and glazing it a little bit darker. There is a cast shadow from his Akuba hat, so it looks weird. I'm going to put that in on top of it. So if it looks over dark, just, mop a bit. Rinse. Squeeze. Let's get in. I'm going to get a little bit of cerulean into that turquoise. Change the character of it a bit. Boy. Okay, I'm going to bang that in up here where we have open sky, cutting a little bit past where the trees are, and then I'm going to let the trees cover it. The other thing, it'll nicely frame Mark's light colored ball cap. Where else can we? Let's just add to that some ultramarine. Let's bring that up here so it can be seen. Some indigo. So, well, you know what? I'm going to leave that alone. Put this brush aside. Get a mop. A faux squirrel mop there. I'm going to get in now some of these building colors, the lighter portions, and the concrete of the street. So into the flesh color, I'm going to grab some of this blue and make a warm gray. Well, think, John, think. First, I'm going to take some Naples yellow, pale yellow here. I'm going to hit this one sign. I want it to be a sort of a colored block. I've got orange, I got blue. I'm going to throw a yellow in there. Get a little bit of transparent iron oxide red, a little bit of water either side of that. I'm going to get in here, I don't mind that. Leave those signs white. A little bit back there, a little bit up there. It's I'll take it all the way out because some dark tree color is going to show up in there. I'm going to get some more of that yellowish stuff and a lot of water. And we're going to get in here. Even though a lot of this is going to become quite a bit darker. I'm going to skip the fellow's jacket. And I'm just going to let that go. Now, where do I want to go from here? The pants, shadows, everything like that, with the exception of this, tend to be darker than the concrete of the street. So I'm just going to make up a concrete color, which is going to be mostly burnt umber. I'll do it up here so we can see it. A little bit of some ultramarine blue. Maybe a little bit of yellow. It's for some of this Naples. Now I need to put water with that. Quite a bit of it. Very runny mix. And I'm just going to maybe even put a little more blue in it as I go down. Now this is going to look dark. Everything back here is going to be a little bit darker anyway. We are in the holy mess stage. So, everything in here, I don't mind if I hit the pants of Tom over here. I do need to maybe miss this fellow's pants, give him more water. So maybe let's get a little bit bluer as we come down. It does look that way to me. Don't hit those sneakers. More burnt umber. More of that indigo or something in your ultramarine. I'm not doing the classic beaded wash again. If I get little divots or wobblies or blossomy kinds of things, that'll just hopefully make it look like a sidewalk as opposed to a sky or a body of water. And typically, you wouldn't want to go back into a wash if it was a sky or a body of water, like I'm doing now, because you would get little lighter and darker blossomy bits. But they'll be okay for concrete. So let's get back to the Oriental brush. I am going to try to stick pretty much with the colors I'm seeing here. I think it's a nice balance of blue grays and assorted blues, neutral blues, strong blues, complementing this orange. So that's what I like about it. So I'm going to use a kind of lavender gray for Antoine's shirt. And his pants are not a whole lot different. I'm going to add a little bit to that later too. A little more ultramarine to that. And get Mark's pants. This person back here. I forgot to put some flesh tone on Mark's shirt. But I can just get into some ultramarine blue because he's going to, even the indigo, because his shirt is pretty dark blue. And that's probably going to have to be hit again. Just need to miss his elbow. What's showing of it? Now I need to get more of that dull blue for his jeans. If the pants melt into the shirt at this distance, that's easily remedied and might even be just that good as is. The hat, I think I'm going to leave white. This fellow's pants. Well, Tom's pants. I hope you guys don't mind me referring to them by name. Ultramarine, a little bit of burnt umber. These are the lighter colors that are going to be in the jeans or whatever. Indigo for that dark, indigo and ultramarine for that dark shirt of his. And we will be getting I'm going to have to shadow on the back of his neck from his hat. This will not be the last application of color to that shirt. We're going to have to get pretty dark on that thing. And while that's wet, I'm going to pop into the pants leg here. I'm going to pop in with this darker blue to kind of suggest those soft folds. Same with, it's too soon with Mark's. Now, tell you that this image is not going to make any, hello, Nicole. This image is not going to make any sense until these hard darks, shadows and things like that frame it. So we really almost have to grit our teeth and make the best of these. Plan it and then execute it. Now, I think I'm going to, because it's a little drier up here, I'm going to do those trees. And maybe that will help us see some of what's going on. So I'm going to get the darkest, murkiest blue I have, which is the indigo, or maybe the Prussian. And then I'm going to get a little bit of transparent oxide red, which sort of goes greenish. And maybe I'll even get a little bit of some yellow. Let's rinse, blot, and try not to dirty up my yellow. Yeah, see that? I mean, that's even just too light. All right, here we go. I'm going to I'm not painting trees so much as I'm I'm putting some more blue into it because I want it to get a little darker as I go down where it's shadier. I'm attempting to frame some of the action here. Asya, hello! Hoping to run into you Friday night at it's the opening of the Fairfield Art Association membership show, and Asya and I and several other Fairfield area artists have work in there. I have this nickel azo yellow, which is a very greenish yellow. I'm just going to put some of that in there. The other side of the street is receiving a bit more light. Maybe out here at the edges. So you can see, hopefully you can see we're starting to frame our subject. And we are going to be tying into other darks. Now over here, I think I'm dry enough that I can be in, let's well doggone it. Let's see, I need to get a little more. I need to come in here and sort of frame Antoine. These guys are phenomenal painters. These two guys here. If you get Plein Air magazine, you've probably seen Mark's work and Antoine's work. And I believe Tom's too. So they are amazing painters. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, I need to. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to execute this area under here. So I've laid in a turquoise that corresponds to this. I need to come in with this dark around here and the darker turquoise, which I'm going to do maybe with into that greenish color. I'm going to put some Prussian blue, maybe a little more of this yellow. I want a very dark blue-green. And well, let's get some turquoise as well. We want it to be dark darker than the turquoise on top, but still turquoisey. Then as I get down to here, okay, that color's mixed, ready to go. I'm going to execute this dark in here, start in with the color I just mixed here and there, and then I'm going to get in some darks, and then I'm going to make it greener because there's a plant in there, and then I'm going to get darker again, and then green. And I'm just going to make this big abstract shape which sort of frames all of these things and creates a light under there. And I'm going to transition from one color to the other so that they're not distinct objects or areas because they're in shade and I want them to look mysterious and murky, as opposed to these very crisp, hard shapes that we're going to have out here from the cast shadows. Got that color mix. Now I need like a bluish, brownish dark. That's going to be burr umber or transparent oxide red and ultramarine blue, or perhaps the indigo or a little of both. Where are they? It's the key thing is, hello, Lucy. The key thing is it's the right value. You have some leeway to fool around with the hue, the actual color name of the thing, but you have to get the value right. So, burr umber, ultramarine blue. I hope I don't have to squeeze out some more. Okay. Lock that brush, rinse it. I'm going to go switch right to the blues so that it variegates. Now I've got a bead forming here and I need to be very careful to do a window or something like that. I want to stab into the creamy transparent oxide red while this edge is wet. I'm going to touch it in there. So the paint that I put in there right now is thicker, more pigment in other words, than what I initially put down, so that it will blend in and I'll get a brownish edge going into these bluish sort of colors that I have here in this shadow. Now, like that, I'm going to get into this turquoise color underneath here. So a little bit of it up here too. Try to miss Tom's hat. Now out of this, I'm going to be working into these colors here, the blue, brown mixes, even some turquoise. So coming out of that, maybe even putting a bit of that up here underneath that edge. Let's start in on some transparent oxide red to get a little bit redder for a moment. I'm just looking at it. I'm looking for abstract shapes. I'm going to get into this yellowish, greenish yellow, the nickel azo yellow, and some indigo. I need to I want to make a green happen that is just a smidge lighter than what's going on here, but doesn't stray too far. From the general value range that I've created. So let's get some more burn umber, mix into that, some more indigo. We're going to go back to some darks. There's a person sitting back there. You can see bits of the arm, but I'm not going to do that because there's not enough information of the thing there to indicate what it actually is, and it may look like a flesh-colored jelly bean or something weird like that, which we don't want. Now, indigo, just straight indigo or Prussian. Something a little more bluish. I'm going to start trying to leave that plant and maybe the cast shadows that they're causing on the sidewalk. Alrighty then. I think I just want to darken up this back here just a little bit. Jeez. Elmer Fudd. A little bit. Okay. This is dry. I want to maybe put in some accents of reddish stuff back here. Brick sort of reddish colors, brownish reddish. Hello, Jane. Oh boy, you know what? Let's go with blues. I think they're coming a little too far forward. I'm going to get some lavender. While they're still wet. Framing our figure. The reason I'm choosing to go to blues and darker colors is because I want to frame that guy's head nicely. So, and there are some cast shadows from awnings and whatnot. You begin getting the shadow underneath Antoine's Gilligan hat. So hopefully you can see things are starting to look like what they're supposed to be. Okay. Okay. Yeah, alrighty. I think I need to, gosh, a little darker blue, maybe the cerulean or the ultramarine. And let's get some variegation. Well, it's greenish, isn't it? How did I get that? Some variegation here in Tom's pants. Dry that brush, get a fairly dark ultramarine, or even indigo. Oh, let's get in some browns. Do those sandals. And some miscellaneous darks. Same here. There. Things will happen. Things will happen. I'm going to darken that. Maybe I shouldn't have. We'll see. Well, let's start again. Let's do some pants. Diane Carr, hello. I have some grayish blue, lavender. Get a little bit of this stuff here. Make a slightly darker blue. And I am going to make Antoine's pants a little darker than they are. And then there will have to be the cast shadows of his hands on that as well. Mark's shirt, I'm going to have to go to a pointier brush, like a nylon number 12. Yeah. A dirty blue, indigo, ultramarine, a little bit of mud. The further the figure is away, the less detailed I want to be with it. Now, Tom's shirt is very dark. He blends into that shadow almost completely. Just leave a little bit of the original color behind. Deep shadow under his hat and his hair. Now I'm going to rinse that brush, blot it, and I'm going to try and soften that edge by bringing water right to it. I'm also going to have to I knew I would have to darken his arm. A little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber. And the neck there. Same stuff on Antoine. I think I can go with that same dark, maybe a little burnt umber in it. Martha, hello. I'm going to begin to try to use my finger as a maul stick and brace so I can paint this shape under, shadow shape under this hat. Comes down the side of the face, goes across the clavicle area, a little bit under the chin, a little bit under the nose. Just a suggestion of a mouth. And then I'm going to get some of this murky blue or some lavender. So I want a very dirty blue. And I'm going to extend the shadow onto the shoulder here. Now let's get shadow between the sleeves. Underneath the shirt where it hangs out over the pants. Oh goodness, let's get a little more lavender in that. Inside of the well, that piece of paper I gave him is going to cast a shadow on his pants. And then just a little water with that. To make the shirt. Now that edge is too hard. So hello, Diane. I'm going to soften it by bringing a damp brush to the side of it so that that wet paint has some place to swim into. That same color, that off lavender gray with a lot of water, I think is going to be a good equivalent for the, oops, fellow's jacket that he's carrying. Can leave a few light white areas on it. And that will be revisited when we put the shadows on it. Hopefully, it's going to happen, I promise. I just looked over here and I saw this dirty kind of tan ochre color. There's Tom's Akubra hat. Let's see. More pale blue, like a cerulean. Fair amount of water. And I'm going to start executing this guy's pants. They're going to be darker bits. I'm doing the lighter colors now. But the whole thing has to be significantly darker than his shoes. I want those white shoes to sing out. I'm going to make it a little pure, lighter blue, like ultramarine. Cobalt would have been great. For the foreleg. Well, the one that's coming forward. Now, where can we go that we need some more? Let's get a nondescript darkish blue. Suggest some windows on these buildings. Oh, something in here. Should give me an excuse to frame the guy's head. It's buildings, so horizontals and verticals are going to tell the tale. I'm going to darken up that shadow. I'm going to put some shadow on those pants. I'm just going to get the indigo, make a very dark, murky blue, or get some ultramarine. I'm going to start doing some cast shadows. They're heading that way. So I'm going to have one come in from stage left. We don't know what's causing it. There's the one coming from behind Antoine's foot. And then from here, going right for the most of him. Where else are we going to see one? I could put, I'm just going to get some strong indigo. I'm going to suggest windows in here. And if it was looking a little too murky around Tom, this will make him look less murky because this is darker still. I'm going to add some detail like that. Okay, we can get into the fellow's pants and shirt now, and then the final thing, Jeff, hello, will be his face. Now, I'm going to, there should be a shadow coming behind here from Mark and whoever else he might be talking to. Some things that hold the signs. Oops. How about we get into... I created a problem here. I moved my table by accident. I'm going to... Well, that's that. Again, I'm going to take these very, very, very darks, like the Prussian and the indigo, and make that look even lighter because that's darker, if that makes sense. Rinsing that brush, I'm going to get some just regular burn umber, and I'm going to, inside of that fellow's arms are a little darker. Hands are darker here, darker there, flesh darker there, flesh darker there, flesh darker there. Okay. That shape of that, I'm going to use my pinky as a maul stick again, that shape of the eye cavity. Underneath his nose, inside his ear. Underneath his chin, on his neck. That could even go darker still. I'm going to get some alizarin and some burn umber for under here. Hit that while it's still wet. A little bit of shade across the brow of the nose. There. Now, that's too hard an edge. So I rinse the brush, and I'm bringing damp brush right to that edge there. And along the side of his cheek, and even a little bit of his temple. Looks like a tough guy from the mafia or something. He's supposed to be like a regular guy. This miscellaneous dark here. He had a, whoops, I keep moving that. I'm going to have to tighten it up. There's a ring on this shirt here. Okay, now these browns, boy, look at that. I really have to move this. Hello, Mary Helen. As soon as I get the table tightened up and the... Okay, I think we're all right. Till I lean on it again, right? Blue grays. Blue grays. Let's begin the shadow underneath the coat as it hangs over. I'm going to put some brownish shadow here. That's the flesh of his hand, so it's a little warmer. Then a darker, bluer, right where it folds over his hand. And the deep folds. Now, his pants. Let's do the underneath the shirt. Bit on it, casting a bit of a shadow on his pocket. Through this area. Now a little bit of water, maybe some lavender. And this section of the pants are pretty dark because the leg is going back and it's shaded by his body. And then, not quite as dramatic a shadow. On parts of his leg that's coming forward. A lot of water and some lavender or some cerulean or maybe even some turquoise with a lot of water. Okay. The orange. I'm going to have to mop out an area I don't think I'm going to need any green that I know of. Okay. And some red. So in other words, a darker orange, I'm going to have to put some red or some alizarin crimson in it to darken it up. This sleeve is a little darker, coming down from the shoulder. Folds here, underneath his arm. Now, of course, those are too hard, so I'm going to rinse the brush, squeeze it a bit, dampen it, and tease out some of that color so that it softens. Or alternatively, while it's damp, once you've done that, you can put a little extra in there. A very important thing is the cast shadow on his shoulder from his face. So I'm going to use the Cad Red maybe some transparent oxide red or some burnt umber. And that's going to come across. Darker still. Let's get alizarin in there. Maybe even a little ultramarine. And very darkest areas. Okay, so it should be, hello, Virginia. Should be starting to look sunny now, I hope. Let's get some lavender or some ultramarine or some turquoise, something blue. I'm going to try to put an echo of this on one of these signs. Back there. Let's see. Tom needs a headband. I still think his temple and a lot of water in that color we just used. Yeah, it needs to get darker. His arm needs to get darker in spots, particularly the forearm. Yeah, under here too. Okay. The thing that I like best about this, the hard shadows. Ginger, there's Ginger. Come up to critique. He doesn't like it. What do you think, Ginger? It's that bad? Well, I know, you're fussy though. Ginger is my worst critic. Okay, let's start looking at this. That's going to dry a little lighter, what I've just done there. I'm going to bring a bit of shadow out there because I want to connect these areas. Frame that a bit. Frame this a bit. I think I want to make let me dry this very quickly, and I want to make this a bit darker and a bit more irregular. Erase any pencil work in the whites. Oh, well, do this first, John. A little bit of everything I've used and a lot of water. Lots of water. So I'm just going to glaze over this. Going to add a little more to it. A lot of water. Try to leave a little bit of the previous colors behind, here and there. Let's peel and see what we get. I wanted this area in here to be nice and bright. Boy, he's a mean-looking character, isn't he? What can I do to soften him up here? We're just going to say he was having a bad day. He needs to get in there and get a coffee or a brew at the Grey Dog Deli or something. Yeah, a little texture doesn't hurt. I see stuff already. Okay. Well, thank you, Jan. Jan, I believe you've painted there, haven't you? In Mineral Point? Okay, I need a dark brownish color here. I need a dark nondescript blue underneath the shoe and the cuff. Some of that. Where else? Where else? More windows. Well, I think some darker bits in the fold of the pants here. That there needs to be quite dark, where it folds around his hand. Yep. Bit more under the chin. Maybe that'll make him look a little cheerier. I don't know, I hope. Anyway, the idea here was that these very simple shapes, like this Batman wing, which I didn't get very well, I don't think, for his eyes. This is, of course, a hard light situation. I'd like to maybe attempt something with a softer light where we're a little more in shadow. But the idea was, keep that background, the infinutia, simple, and find ways to try and shape or frame the key figure. So that somebody predominates. Somebody is the main actor in the play. And of course, it's usually going to be the person in the front or that's facing us. And at this scale, that's, I think, about enough facial feature to keep us from getting too something that might draw your attention just a little bit too much. Further away they go, less detail you want to have. When you do a figure, try to get some of the character of the motion. Look for those things like on a sleeve, what part it's hanging away from, what part is tight to the limb, angles of them. You noticed straight away I missed early on that this foot, the bottom of that foot and the bottom of that foot are staggered. I still actually need to go more. That's the thing that's going to give me the appearance of him stepping forward. Look for things that are angles through the neck, angles across the shoulder, and the hip to shoulder relationship. When we're standing straight, there, your hips are, your shoulders here, your hips are like that. But when you're in motion, they could be, I think they'd probably go like that as you step. Watch for those kind of things, just simple little things that will make your figures look a little more, as I say, like they're dancing and not goose stepping. If they're not stiff, that's better than if they look like they're in motion and they're not they're not scrupulously accurate. That's better than if they look scrupulously accurate, but they look stiff. So that's hopefully the general idea there. Put a little shadow on that one shoe. Maybe still a little more on his chin and his temple. Then he just keeps looking meaner. Oh well. But I hope you enjoyed that. Next week, my house is being rewired, so I will not have electricity. So we'll have to skip a week until that job is done. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this. It looks like the weather's still going to be coming up nice. And everybody stay safe, stay sane, and see you next week. Bye-bye.